Colorism is the discrimination and prejudice against individuals with a darker skin tone. Not to be confused with racism, the basis of colorism doesn't depend on what race someone is, but rather exists within communities of color to further stigmatize those perceived as farther from whiteness. This concept and its effects have been seen globally throughout centuries. From colonial India, where dark-skinned Indians were often regulated to a lower class within the caste system, to an antebellum America where slaves with lighter complexions were able to work in the house and escape the much more grueling, violent work of the fields, which was reserved for darker-skinned enslaved people, to a post-Reconstruction Jim Crow America where white-passing black people adopted whole new identities, masquerading as white to escape the brutal reality of racism in America. Colorism has been allowed to exist and proliferate as a damning side effect of racism and is still seen across the world today. As of 2022, the global skin lightening industry is worth an estimated $8.8 billion and is projected to reach nearly $12 billion by the year 2026. In India, in 2019, 80% of moisturizers on the market were marketed as having skin lightening properties. In China, L'Oreal's website assures customers that their products will give them skin that is white and lovely. And in Nigeria, the World Health Organization reports that an estimated 77% of the population uses skin bleaching agents as of 2020. Upon a recent trip to a beauty supply store off of Union Square, one of those typically meant to cater to black women, I came upon a whole section of products dedicated to skin bleaching. Some were more covert in their marketing, claiming they were fade creams, meant to even the skin tone, while others were far more blatant, branded plainly as skin lightening products or using taglines like fair and white. But colorism isn't always as blatant as people taking drastic, unsafe measures to lighten their skin tone. Colorism is seen in much more subtle ways in places like Hollywood, where actors, particularly actresses of color, are only cast if they have a lighter skin tone. A study found that nearly 80% of black female characters on TV had a lighter skin tone. Of the highest-grossing films of 2021, there was only one black lead, Zendaya, who is a light-skinned biracial woman. Zendaya herself has talked about how colorism has benefited her career, saying, "I also think it's important being a light-skinned woman to recognize my privilege in that sense, as well as and make sure that I'm not taking up space where I don't need to. And also, I am Hollywood's acceptable version of a black girl." Shows like Gossip Girl and Euphoria, as well as movies like Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights, have all come under fire for not casting darker-skinned people of color and only portraying light-skinned or biracial people of color. This is because lighter-skinned people are not only seen as more attractive, but they're also seen as less aggressive and more trustworthy, and strangely more feminine, which is how you get instances like The Cosby Show, where you have a black dark-skinned father and a black light-skinned mother, with a fully black dark-skinned son, but inexplicably light-skinned biracial daughters. All because being lighter is seen as being more appealing and feminine, and you see similar instances of light-skinned female leads, love interests with dark-skinned men everywhere. Malcolm and Marie. The Harder They Fall. Casey Undercover. Poetic Justice. Coming to America. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Martin. George Lopez. You can even see it globally in the music industry from members of the hugely popular K-pop group BTS, joking that they couldn't see their comparatively darker-skinned bandmates because they were too black. To the top 5 most commercially successful black female artists of all time, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Rihanna, Janet Jackson, and Beyoncé, all being light-skinned, or even dark-skinned rapper Kodak Black saying,
"I just said I don't like women with my complexion. I like light-skinned women. I want you to be lighter than me. I love African-American women, but I just don't like my skin complexion."
Okay. Well, I like your skin complexion.
We too gutter. Black people, my complexion, we too gutter. Light-skinned women, they more sensitive, you know?
There's some dark-skinned women out here sensitive.
No, they too tough. They too tough.
But the effects of colorism go far past Hollywood and have much more severe real-life consequences. In groups of color, people with darker skin tones were more likely to get arrested, more likely to experience verbal and physical racial abuse, less likely to get married, less likely to receive responses for job applications, let alone be hired, and are even paid 16 to 25% less than their lighter skin counterparts, and are seen as being more threatening, more violent, more likely to commit a crime, and even less human. Outside of the empirical data supporting these claims, this can be seen through commonly hurled insults at dark-skinned women, calling them monkeys or roaches. To conclude this presentation, we asked people from different races of color how they think colorism affects their lives.
Cool. Why do you think people are treated differently based on their skin tone? Please be specific as you want to be.
Generational, how would I say, generational installment, so it's taught. I think racism is taught instead of, I don't know, like learned or something. So if an example would be Dominican Republic, Trujillo, I believe it was him, he didn't like darker skinned people. So that taught the nation to not like darker skinned people and prefer fair skinned people. So there's this fear against dark skinned people.
And how do you think these ideas are perpetuated today?
What do you mean?
Just like how do you feel like, because obviously that was not too long ago in the grand scheme of history, but it wasn't like yesterday, but there's still issues with it today. So how do you feel like it can be perpetuated today? I mean, you can answer the same, being like family, like you said, it's a learned thing, but
yeah, it is a learned thing. It's just favoritism, discrimination. There's society structures around fair-skinned people, lack of representation. So it really
As you can see, colorism is a grossly prevalent, incredibly damaging part of our society, but it, like all prejudices, can be combated through education, effort to address our underlying biases, and our conscious effort to unlearn them.